Asbu, we've seen the ANC make a number of changes in the metros, and today the focus shifted to the northwest. Bushy Maape has been announced as the nominee for the premiership of the province, but it could face a couple of snags as Premier Job Mokgoro has not yet tendered his resignation. How is the party responding to this?
Well, I guess, Kathy, on the issue of Job Mokgoro, it is the Northwest has been quite a problem for the ANC, given their failure to bring stability to that province. And obviously, I guess for the ANC, it was a matter of having to choose between Mokgoro and the Interim Provincial Committee, given the fact that relations between the two had been strained, with Mokgoro being accused of undermining the structure. But also we know that, importantly, he had been brought to the province to stabilize the province. And I guess perhaps the announcement today is a reflection and also an admission of sorts that the unity project in that province, of stability in that province, is proving to be a difficult issue. But also, more importantly, in the Limpopo, we understand that there are also developments in that region of the ANC. But Kathy, we need not speculate any further. We are joined by the Deputy Secretary General of the ANC, Jessie Duarte, to talk about some of these issues. Ms. Duarte, thank you for your time. Let's start in the Northwest. Why was it necessary to replace Job Mokgoro as the Premier?
Thank you very much, Sbu, and good evening to your listeners. Also, our condolences to all the families who have lost loved ones in the bus accidents. It's quite tragic. Let me start by saying, firstly, over the last 40 years or more, and it is a long time, the Northwest Province has not been a province of calm and stability. Many factions have grown up of various different routes. We've seen many premiers come and go, but over the last couple of years, one of the more serious matters has been the impact of the instability on service delivery. And the Northwest has 5 municipalities that are not functional. The IPC is a good IPC, and I think that it goes beyond personality clashes. It goes to an ability to unite the province at the same time to ensure that the cabinet in the province is able to competently deliver on the services that's required. So there's been a lot of discussion to and fro. As you know, the province itself is under administration. We have been watching and hoping that there would be an improvement in the relationships that people have, but primarily in the aspect of service delivery. There's been a push and pull in the cabinet. Recently, the MEC for local government was fired. This is an MEC that was brought by the Premier. There was no consultation with anyone else. A bit of a controversial appointment. It created a number of difficulties. Now, what had happened was the NEC deployees, as you know, we have NEC deployees that work in every province, did an assessment. They provided that assessment to the NEC. They gave it to the NWC. And there was a view that perhaps we should look for a person who has the ability to unite all the people in the province, as well as an ability to manage what is really a very difficult service delivery environment. We've seen that it is querulous, that some people are not happy with it, and in the final analysis, there's never been happiness with any premier of the Northwest 100%. So we're hoping that the nominee, Bushy Maape, who's a fairly senior person and quite qualified, has a lot of experience, lives in the province, has been there all his life, understands the people, has a dynamic relationship with the traditional leaders who play a very important part in the lives of the people in that province, but is also generally respected by younger people and who look up to him. So we hope that because he's also competent, we hope that the legislature will vote for him. I'm just sad that, look, Job Mokgoro is a very good academic. I've known him for a long time. He's a very good person, in fact. He may just not have been the right person to assist the people of the province to go forward. And he was brought in from the outside after Supra Mahumapulo left. So it may not have been a good fit. No. But it's not about fitting, it's about service delivery. And we have to take action if we see that, things are just jumping on the same spot.
Sure. Now, on the issue of the legislature, you're saying that you hope that the legislature supports it, which tells me that given the divisions in that province, you do kind of anticipate that there might be some of those who don't go with that decision. But also, more importantly, Ms. Duarte, we understand that Job Mokgoro is to make way, is to resign and make way for Bushy Maape to be sworn in. Do you have an indication as to when he will be doing so, or rather, how much time have you given him to do so?
Well, at this stage, it's young. The decision is very new, so we haven't yet had a proper conversation with him. The truth of the matter is, if I might say so, very bluntly, the announcement today was somewhat premature. So we're hoping that within this week, Job Mokgoro will resign and the legislature will be able to sit and we'll get the nomination going. I think, Sabu, you're quite right. We're not naive, and we do believe that there probably will be some noise from within the legislature. There was another candidate who had also hoped to be appointed, and that person is a strong candidate, has a lot of support. But we needed a candidate that would unite the entire province. So we're hoping we can see that happen. And normally, I guess when there is a strong recommendation from the ANC, people accept that recommendation. We're not anticipating a failure in this regard. We are anticipating that there will be voices that might demur.
Now, we continue our conversation with ANC Deputy Secretary General Jessie Duarte, where we've been talking about some of the developments in the Northwest. Ms. Duarte, now let's take it a bit north. Let's go to Limpopo, and we understand that you have instructed the structure in Limpopo to actually ask, or rather to suspend, the treasurer of the province, Denim Caesar, owing to the fact that he has been charged with corruption in relation to VBS. Two issues. One, can you confirm that? And two, what is the way forward? Does he still have the option of stepping aside, or does the province move to suspend him now?
He has the option to step aside, and we're hoping that the province will support a decision that we all took together, that any person who is charged in a court of law would step aside, which Comrade Danny now has been charged in a court of law. That's per the guidelines and Rule 25.7. The province has requested yet another discussion with the officials of the ANC. We will meet them on Monday, but it won't change a decision that has been taken by the NEC, which is very clear, and that decision must be implemented by the provinces as well as national in an equal way. So we're hoping that we can get past the point of where we are now. I think the complication was that, he did step aside for 2 years at a time when he had not been charged. And the argument that is used in the province is that he has already suffered reputational damage and risk, and now he's in court. And what should he do? He didn't serve in his position for 2 years. So partially, these things are difficult, and we're hoping that he will accept that it is important for him to do what is the right thing and step aside.
Sure. Now, I take the point that you are saying that this decision is not likely to change. But also going back to the fact that he had already served 2 years while he had stepped aside without being charged, perhaps someone might argue that the ANC erred when it reinstated him during that period when there was already an ongoing investigation into VBS. And someone might even go further and say it was almost fait accompli that he would be probably charged eventually. What did you say to that?
Well, I never want to second guess what happens in the law, you know. He may not have been charged, but the ANC at the time that he was reinstated was a decision of the PEC, and we accepted it, that, you know, he'd been out, and the treasurer, I think the deputy chair, had been out for 2 years. And I think that what is really correct is now he has been charged, and he is subject to the regulations and guidelines and resolutions of the ANC, the same as any other member.
Sure.
Look, it's unfortunate, but that is our reality. And we must be able to be consistent in whatever we do. Otherwise, what would be the point of having such a regulation and such a resolution? We were taken to court for it. The court did not find that our resolution was out of sync with the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, and we think that it is only correct that people respect the decisions that are taken collectively within the organization.
Still on the issue of discipline, we know that the most prominent member of the ANC to have to step aside is the party's Secretary General. And while on that subject, we do understand that the National Disciplinary Committee of the ANC has served him with charges alongside NWC member Tony Yengeni and Carl Niehaus. Are you able to tell us what exactly do these charges relate to?
Unfortunately, even though I know, I'm not going to discuss them with you, because people have rights, and they have a right to go to the DC in all good faith, and they have a right to defend themselves, and they have a right to hear from the DC. They have received those charges. They have a right to discuss them in a manner that does not cloud the situation for them or creates an atmosphere which might distort what the issues are. They also have a right to bring witnesses. So we never ever discuss the content of the discipline or the charges. We will share with you the outcome, but I think we are entitled to make sure that we also protect the rights of our members who are taken to disciplinary hearings.
Sure, and I respect your view on that. And also you would know that there will be some people who are already saying that isn't this double jeopardy, given the fact that he is already suspended on some charges, and now you are adding another layer of charges, and which obviously, given the divisions in the ANC, that will play into the realm of factional politics, where it's seen as the party targeting him. What would you say to that?
I think that's your view, Boo. I've not heard that from anyone. It is clearly a moot point. You know, internal party discipline is an important thing, and it is not corrosive. It is also not punitive. Internal party discipline is also a mechanism to enable people to express their views about a particular matter that they disagree with vehemently. It gives them an opportunity to step outside of the public realm and talk to the party about matters that they feel very strongly about, and they might hear from the DC how those matters have infringed on the ANC as an organization. They may have a punitive result, and they might not. So I think that if anybody understands revolutionary discipline, they will understand that this is what that is about. It is not, of course, there are people who will have a negative connotation to it, but, the party must be able to call and rein in its members, reining in the sense that address issues with them in a very organized manner, factual manner, not based on innuendo or based on gossips and whispers,
Sure.
but based on things that really have happened, and receive an explanation. And if that explanation is sufficient and correct and factual, move on. So I don't know. I can only say that, of course, the ANC is a very broad church, and we have very many different kinds of issues that people adhere to. But ultimately, what we must strive for, and we are striving for, is a unity in our discipline. And we hope that we can make every party member accept and understand that.
Now, before we move to the Middle East, just a last point on this one. Do we have a timeline as to how long this disciplinary process would take, given the fact that the ANC there's been a complaint about justice delayed in some cases?
The DC process will take as long as it needs to take. At times it takes a day, at times it takes a week, at times it takes much longer than that. If there are a number of witnesses that come forward, or if people who have been charged bring witnesses, the DC might even look at videotapes. They might look at a whole range of issues. So we never rush disciplinary hearings, and we don't put a timeline on it. We allow the disciplinary committees to sit and deal with the matter thoroughly, so that there is not injustice and unfairness. And that's very important.
Sure. Now, let's move to the Middle East. We've seen in Afghanistan the Taliban taking over government in that country after the exit of the United States, and the ANC is always very vocal on issues of the Middle East. What is the party's reaction and attitude to what has developed in that country?
Our first reaction is to express concern that many people are exiting the country. The president has left the country. So we're always concerned when there's a change of government or change over of government which destabilizes any community or any country. Of course, there are many issues that are historical and are in the public domain about the treatment of women. But, you know, we can only hope that the Afghani people will find a way of moving forward in a rational manner, and that they have had an occupation force for many, many years. And perhaps it is time for them to find each other. But we would also want to say that the ANC is a human rights activist organization. And we would also want to encourage the Taliban to adhere to human rights, even though they adhere to Sharia law. We respect their right to adhere to Sharia law if that's how they wish to govern. Many other countries do that, but at the same time, it's vitally important that the human rights of people are also respected, and that the rights of women in particular are not undermined.
Now, someone might argue that given how quick it was to take over by the Taliban, that perhaps this is a reflection of the failure of the whole U.S. occupation. And I know the ANC has been very much opposed to occupation. What would your attitude be to that?
Well, I think if one looks at the 18 months within which this took place, the Taliban certainly has taken time to prepare. And if you watch what they're saying right now, they're very well organized in the manner in which they are articulating issues. And it's you know, one has to be careful not to be judgmental. One has to be careful to make sure that if a situation is going to lead to peace and a rational stability, as well as a human rights ethic, that it should be like that. I think that it isn't always true that an occupation force is a peacekeeping force. I think one has to be able to say that very openly. Sometimes when a third country occupies another country, it is simply that occupation. You know, the best thing that could happen for Afghanistan is to allow the Afghani people to find each other and to make their own way forward. And the ANC is very clear about that. We say that even about all other parts of the Middle East, that it's important for the people of a country, or the people who share the same geographic land, to talk to each other and to fit together, even if they have diverse views. And diversity is not such a problematic thing. We're a very diverse country. We haven't yet achieved a single kind of building a cohesive nation, but we're working towards that.
Sure.
And our situation can be used as one that did make a difference, but we still have a long way to go. So we would not like to be judged by anyone else, and therefore we should not be judging anyone else.
Jessie Duarte is the Deputy Secretary General of the ANC. Thank you very much for your time.